like to call to order this work session of the Assembly and begin by going around the table. Harriet?
Harriet Drummond, Assembly, West
Paul
Anchorage.
Loneman, Assembly, East Anchorage.
Dick Train Assembly.
Elby Tree Jackson.
Ernie Hall.
Debbie Osiander?
Lucinda Mahoney, CFO.
Nancy Ucera, Employee Relations.
Thank you. Go on, jump on in.
All right. Well, the reason why we called this work session is because we wanted to provide you with some information about AM that will be introduced on Tuesday night. And the objective of the AM is to solicit your support to exempt the payroll division from collective bargaining. And so what we're going to do today is go through this PowerPoint presentation that describes to you the background for this suggestion and take you through the process of why we believe the payroll department should be exempt. So if you go to the first page, you will probably all remember that last year we asked you to approve the software and the implementation costs associated with implementing Kronos. We have internally renamed this to EPAL. So you may hear the word or the acronym EPAL, so when you hear that is our Kronos project. But as you recall, this is the electronic time card system that will replace the current manual process where timekeepers record time manually on time cards and then do data entry into the PeopleSoft system. If you recall, the way we're moving is employees will begin to enter their own time, take ownership of it, manage their leave through this process. Supervisors will then approve it online, and it will all be a different process and it will be more efficient. We had told you that there was a very high return on investment on this project and that we would save labor costs of $466,000 annually upon implementation. Currently, there are 11 full-time employees that are dedicated to the payroll process in regard to implementing data and entering time into the system. And as I indicated, that paper process will go away. So this is one of the efficiency measures that we have been working on to reduce the back office type operations associated with the municipality so that we could focus more on the services that we deliver to citizens. The project currently has, we've spent a lot of time going in and configuring the project and ensuring that the pay codes and the way we manage the system will be in conformance with our CBAs. We are currently testing all of the configuration that we've already done. We've had representatives from all of the departments, or many of the departments I should say, in looking at the way it's been configured and running through test scripts to ensure that we've made the correct decisions in regard to our configuration. We are still in the process of that. The outlook at this point is good. It's looking like we did capture it correctly, but there are some areas that need to be tweaked. And that's just typical. That's just a part of going through the process. We've also started our change management process. And this is very, very important with this particular project because electronic time cards will impact every single employee that we have. And that's really important then that every single employee be given the opportunity to attend a training class, that supervisors are provided with the proper training so that they understand what they're approving. We've developed a website so that employees even today can log on and see where we are in the project. And it's just really important for them to understand where we're going and why. So we've placed a lot of emphasis on that. With all of this comes organization change as well as business process change. And what we've recognized in terms of going forward is that the old way of doing business by having the timekeepers decentralized is not the most efficient way for us to deliver the payroll service going forward. The most efficient way is in a consolidated payroll department. And so that is what we are recommending today, is that we move to this consolidated payroll department with newly defined payroll responsibilities. And the new payroll responsibilities are very different than the payroll timekeeper responsibilities that currently exist in the department. For example, in our new environment, the new employees will have responsibilities associated with understanding multiple data systems. For example, in the police department and in the fire department, the telestaff software will actually capture the scheduling data, and portions of that will then be interfaced to the Chronos data, which will capture the time, approve the time, and then there will be interfaces to the PeopleSoft system as it resides today. So we're going to need our payroll staff to be able to understand all of these different interfaces and how this will all work together. That's a different skill set than what the timekeepers are required to understand today. Additionally, our payroll department of the future is a department that will be very enterprise focused. It will be looking at and providing services across the enterprise, not for a specific CBA or not for a specific department, because we're looking at everything on a more efficient and more consolidated basis. So what we are recommending is that this new and improved payroll department be entirely exempt from collective bargaining. The current payroll department today, the centralized department, is non-rep. And the reason it is non-rep is because I guess historically where it sat, which was in the employee relations department, and then there was a reorganization that moved payroll under the finance department. An agreement was made with the union that the payroll department remain as an exempt department from collective bargaining. And the reason is due to the confidentiality and the sensitivity of the payroll data that all of these individuals in that department would have access to in the future. So what I'm going to do now is show you the vision for our new payroll department, and then talk about some of the specific reasons as to why we believe it should be exempt. And then towards the end, give you some examples of the difference in the job descriptions in terms of where we think we need to go with this whole new business process. So if you turn to the next page, this is our vision for our new payroll department. The boxes that are shaded represent the employees that currently exist in the payroll area. And the boxes to the right are the positions that we anticipate for the future. And so these positions would be positions that we would post as new jobs, and then folks throughout the municipality will have the opportunity to bid on these positions and potentially and hopefully be selected for them. On the bottom, what you can see is a summary of the FTEs and the overall anticipated effect of this consolidation. Right now, we have 15 payroll full-time employees that are dedicated 100% to work on payroll functions. Of the 15, 9 of them are union employees, and 6 of them are non-reps.
Could you pause for a question?
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if you're calling it a payroll department, is it gonna be an actual department or a division within a department?
It's actually a section.
It's actually a section.
Okay.
The-
I just want a clarification. I kept saying department,
Yeah, I refer to that.
which is fine,
It's
but
a
that's why I'm
section.
getting clarification. And it's gonna be remain under
The controller,
finance?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Did you say there are 9 union employees now?
Yes. 9 union employees performing this function 100%.
Okay, so you want to change them all to non-reps?
Well, no, that's not quite true.
Okay.
Okay, what we plan to do is, there are 11 of these positions that are decentralized, if you will. And what we would do is, as a result of the efficiencies associated with the payroll, those positions would go away. And then we would post 5 new positions. And those folks would then be eligible and we would encourage them to apply for the new positions.
So those would be at-will employees?
They would
The
be
new
non-
positions will be at will.
Classified, non-represented.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. You started out by saying there are 11 full-time FTEs entering time and leave. Which are, of these, 15?
Yeah, there's-
Those 11 are within that 15?
Yes, those 11 are the number that is decentralized, that is out in the departments. There are 4 full-time employees already within the centralized payroll organization. And you can see that.
Oh, I see, okay.
In the far right box there.
Thank you.
Ms. Gridgetts?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So there are 11 decentralized payroll clerks throughout the different departments within the municipality right now. Okay, so with the new plan, you got to post 5 new positions, which means 6 are going away.
5 would go away.
Well, 11 and then 5 new positions, there's 6 left.
There's 15 total, okay? And
All right, so there's 11 throughout the municipality and then another 4 in
Right.
City Hall.
Right.
Okay, and so there's 15 total, like you just said, including the payroll division that already exists. And so you're gonna post 5 new positions, and the folks who already have jobs are gonna have to apply for a job. And so there's only 5 jobs, so that means that, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, just for clarification, that 6 of our current employed municipal employees are not gonna have a job?
Well, do you mind if I respond to that? The answer is yes. I mean, essentially, the 11 people, I mean, not to mince words here, the people who are doing these jobs full-time will be laid off. New positions come up, these people have layoff rights, they can apply for these positions. When someone goes into layoff status, of course, they have priority for it bumping, they have priority for other positions, and quite honestly, it is very infrequent that we are not able to place somebody into a position in the municipality,
Okay.
because while these may be going away, there are others that are still coming in. So, I mean, we always hope that those employees are going to be able to continue their employment with the municipality. But, I mean, technically, these functions are going to be eliminated, the positions would therefore be eliminated, new functions, new positions coming in.
So, could I follow up, Madam Chair? Thank you, Madam Chair. And I don't mean to sound negative, but in other words, we're gonna have a little bit of chaos for a little while. And hopefully, the ones who are left without a payroll position, the municipality is gonna work really hard to try and find a position for those employees, correct? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Dick, did you have something else? Mr. Holman?
Well, I guess it begs the question, if we're redeveloping this entire section, working, why wouldn't we scrub everything and start anew, post all positions? And that way, all 15 people would bid on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 positions.
Well, the only new positions are the 5 that we've identified in this organization structure. The other positions are not new. Those positions are positions that are currently there, and those functions will continue as they are today.
But you're saying it's a whole new system and the whole new, you're seeking efficiencies based on new programming, new system, they're not even gonna be used to the new system. I mean, everybody's kind of on equal footing.
They'll be impacted, there's no doubt. But our focus in terms of moving forward was identifying the new job duties associated with these other 5.
Because, what I can envision is, having been a long-term at city employee, you might have someone in the payroll division that's been here 4 or 5 years, and someone in one of these work units that have 20 years. And you're gonna put them all in competing against the same box, but 4 of them, even if they've been here less time, they're gonna essentially have some job security, and the others are going away. It just seems like if you're gonna be doing that, you might gain some experience from someone who's got 20 years experience versus one who has 4 or 5. Not to slight anyone, taking names and faces away from it, but.
I think it's very hard to differentiate position functions from the people. I mean, people are impacted. And we've all seen over the past 20 years that the skill sets that were necessary before things were automated are not necessarily the skill sets that were necessary after automation. One of the benefits of this, and Lucinda mentioned it, is that the whole Kronos thing empowers employees to manage their own time, their own leave,
I
their
get
own
that.
pay.
I get that, that's a bonus.
And as a result of that, that whole paper process of having to have an intermediary goes away. The stuff that, the functions that are being performed in the current payroll section are the centralized functions of review, analysis, exceptions, consulting with management, and being the customer service people for the payroll folks. Those functions, to Lucinda's point, are still going to remain. It's that what we're doing in many ways is expanding this concept of customer service to fulfill the different roles, to more of an expansion of what they're doing now.
Well, and I get that, but I would think that if someone who's been working, managing exceptions might have a little more technical savvy insight background, because if it's a template, 5/8s, 5/9s, 4/10s, someone works Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, is a whole lot different than a unit that's 24 hours, 365. There's overtime, what rate, all depends on the CBAs.
And
So
those
people that have worked managing exceptions might have more technical knowledge and savvy on working exceptions.
Absolutely, and as Lucinda mentioned, I have every expectation. These will be competitively posted. These are not at-will employees, they're classified employees. And obviously, those people who are going to be in layoff are going to be encouraged to apply, and I'm sure that many of them will have lots of qualifications. But, I have to be honest, it's a little bit like musical chairs, except probably more specific than that. But we have 11 positions that are going to end up with 5, and they're going to have to compete for it. And to be honest with you, there's some people who will have the skill sets because they have a lot of computer knowledge and a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of analytical knowledge, as well as the processing stuff. Some of them will not.
Ms. Drummond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many employees do we have that are managed through this payroll time card process?
There will be two.
You mean all of the employees that
Well,
are going to
every-
be using?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's everybody with the exception, I think, of the utilities.
Yeah, it'll be 2,300, approximately 2,300.
And that includes
That include us.
management?
Yeah.
Right.
That'll include us.
We don't do time cards,
No,
sir.
no.
We
I'm
follow
Mr.
through the
It
rules
doesn't
on
include
card,
management,
thank you.
it includes everything.
Right, includes everyone,
Includes
includes everyone.
Okay,
I was
so
just
you-
verifying the 2,300.
Okay, so we have 2,300 people that are gonna be each managing their own time and
Inputting,
leave.
instead of filling out.
Is there any
a piece of
estimate on
paper.
how much time that's going to take out of every workday? But I have a feeling that if you take 2,300 people and multiply it by however many minutes they're gonna have to spend managing their time every day, day in and day out, you probably will come up with more than 6 positions.
Well-
I'd love to see the numbers on how much time each employee is gonna be taking
We'll be
managing their
happy to
time.
look and see if that analysis
Yeah.
was done, but as a practical matter, they're doing it now because they're filling out pieces of paper.
Mhm.
Now every employee, every pay period is filling out a printed piece of paper timesheet that has all of that information, and then they're submitting it to a payroll who's putting the data in.
Not
So-
every employee.
Pardon me?
Not every employee, every supervisor or manager, but not every employee.
Mr. Drummond, I have functioned in different organizations with electronic time cards. I had to fill out a time card every other week. It took me less than 5 minutes because the time card is pre-populated with data that is typical of your schedule, and pretty much you look at it, you manage it on an exception basis, you push the button, and it automatically updates the payroll system. So, we've worked really hard to build this system so it's as intuitive as possible for employees, such that they should be able to enter their time very quickly. That was part of the return on investment that we had identified at the point in time that the project was approved last year.
So in other words, it might be actually freeing up time for employees to not be doing paperwork.
Yes, that's true. And also what it'll do is it'll give a better tool for employees to understand and manage their leave. Right now, our leave tracking is manual and outside of the system. In the future, employees will have a better view on the screen of what their leave availability is, if they're on FEMLA, what are the hours used, what are the hours available in terms of going forward.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I think that is really, really great. I'm glad to see this happen. I know how much time it takes to do payroll now. And I know that it's gonna save some time. And what's, the good thing about this whole situation is that there are gonna be internal controls. You know, employees will put their time card, there's gonna be a supervisor who confirms that it's real, not that nobody's not trusted, but at the same time, I still have real concerns. You know how I feel about people losing jobs, and so I'm just real adamant about the municipality working real hard to not see that happen. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have a quick question. There are 6 blocks, not 5, that show there to be advertised.
Oh, yeah, we have 15 total, and I may have said 5, but there are 6.
6.
Yeah.
Sorry. Mr. Holman.
Just, you know, to set the record straight, you know, my wife works with FAA, and they've been doing electronic time card, each individual, for a number of years. And it works pretty well. Now, they changed their payroll section, who actually cuts the paychecks and such, to actually another location. That's why everybody in government consolidated, and they're actually who cuts the checks, the final processing, if you will. I imagine this section has actually been exported to another state, even the lower 48. There are, most of their employees, at least their support persons, are regular shift workers. The exceptions, of course, are their air traffic controllers and in-flight folks that work around the clock and 7 days a week. And so there is, I think it's important to note, there are differences. I mean, these are not, you know, it's not as cookie cutter molding as you really everybody envisions. And I think there are going to be some exceptions, and of course, I think that's going to be the challenge. So I'm fairly supportive of e-payroll. I think it's a great thing. I really, even when I was for a short stint over in payroll personnel commander over there, you know, we were fighting with some people that were institutional and were used to shuffling paper and inputting from a day-to-day input. And you know, philosophically, I know that was a kind of a tough nut to crack. I still have a problem. My concern is, and I don't know how we can tackle it, but I'm willing to try to look at the challenge. If we're reorganizing, and I don't think you can call it any other way, if we're reorganizing payroll function, and we're establishing a new section that looks different than what we had before, I think we need to look past the bargaining unit, non-bargaining unit, non-rep versus, and I see some non-reps even as well down in the categories. There are a few, maybe fire and police.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to me, it bears note that perhaps we should go municipal seniority as opposed to, you know, work unit. If we're really gonna make this an all-in so that everybody feels like they've got a competitive, you know, no disadvantages, if you will. And I really think that's probably the more fair approach when you look at it from the perspective of maintaining quality employees with tenure and have something to offer. That's probably going to upset people who have been used to the decentralized from all perspectives, both the non-reps that currently, you know, I noticed a couple of folks in the back rows in the area. But it's also conversely the same thing if you say, well, this group's exclusive, they're non-touchable, and the rest of you guys are just, you're going to have to compete, and that's just the way it is. I think that if you look at it from that perspective, I believe that's probably a better approach.
Certainly something.
Yeah, so we need to look at that challenge, and I'm more than willing to work with anybody to try to figure that out.
Thank you. Want to continue?
Yes. So moving on to the next page, what we've done is we've documented why we believe the payroll section should be exempt in the future. And as you're all aware, I mean, compensation-related data is very confidential, and we want to keep it that way. We really want to protect our employees, and we want to make sure that that entire department understands and adheres to the confidentiality associated with that data. Some of the specific aspects of the payroll area that are confidential is the medical leave, That is very confidential. It's very important that that remain confidential. Garnishments that come out of individuals' paycheck, that needs to remain confidential. If there are any settlements associated with lawsuits, grievances, labor negotiations, that can be recorded in the payroll system at an individual level, and we would want to make sure that that remains confidential. PIP, some employees may receive their PIP, others may not. Employees may want that data kept confidential. We would want to ensure of that. Some may need leave without pay, and they want that confidential. Anyways, this is all about protecting the employees and making sure that their data remains confidential. As I mentioned earlier, the payroll department of the future will support the entire enterprise. It's not going to be a department-based organization in terms of who they provide services to. So we're going to need to be able to, have our positions be more fluid and dynamic, in that they'll need to be able to have backfill for each other, be able to cross-train and work, on multitudes of different types of projects. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the current centralized payroll department is exempt from CBA, from collective bargaining, and this would just be consistent with the way the current practice is for that particular organization. So there's just food for thought here.
Go ahead, Mr. White.
Just real quick, I'm buying you on the second two items. I'm not so much the top one, and the reason is, again, having had that experience, we had people that are represented working in my department where I worked, and they were very confidential. They had signed agreements, and discipline, including termination, existed whenever there was a breach of any of that. So I expect that we have employees working in these sensitive nature areas. But the bottom two make more sense to me. If you're centralizing and coming back to one location, it's rather to have, one person represented and another person not. Maybe it's all represented or AMEA, or maybe it's all non-represented. I buy that argument better than I would about the top. Just a comment.
Okay. Then lastly, what we've done is we've started identifying and documenting the new position descriptions in anticipation of posting the positions. This is a fluid document also, but we wanted to give you as much information as possible that identifies the new duties of these new positions. And so this is just here for your information. I wasn't going to go through all of it, but if you want to take the time to read it, you can see that the duties are different than a simple data entry and timekeeping type process.
That's great, Jen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, where's the manager's position description?
The payroll manager, that is not a new description, and
Okay, so
all I've
that's-
done is provided the new
Okay,
ones
so that's
here.
not gonna be a new position.
No.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
To this point, I thought this is the actual assembly action that is required in order to make this happen in terms of the exemption. This isn't PACE, and it's going through the thing. We did meet with the affected unions this morning on this to let them know that we were going to make this proposal. As you probably know, in 3.70, there is a list of those departments and functions that are exempt from collective bargaining, which include employee relations, OMB, IT, sections, the office of the mayor, the assembly, and so on, where there's this laundry list. And what we're proposing here is, I'm sorry, no, it's okay. So what we're suggesting here is a simple one-line change that would include the positions in the payroll section to be among those that are non-represented. Again, they're classified employees, but they're non-represented. It's consistent with the same philosophies that affect these other departments. There is a specific exclusion here, which is number 10, which is confidential employees who in the normal course of their duties have access to assist in the preparation of labor relations materials used in negotiations, arbitrations, grievances, and board meetings. And this group of employees will clearly fall under that, as well as, and just to reiterate Lucinda's point, they are going to have access to people's most private and personal information. And I think that we have an obligation to do as much as we possibly can to protect that information within a centralized area. So.
There appear to be no question. Ms. Tucker?
Thank you. I had just one question. I understand that there are current positions that are decentralized that are doing 100%, payroll. And I understand from what you said that in the new organization, there'll still be an extension. Will it be decentralized still? I understood that the people who will be that the people in these 5 new positions won't be working for separate departments.
Correct.
Will they still be decentralized in that they'll be out of the
No, they'll
city
be
hall? They'll
located
all
in-
be in.
They will be located in City Hall, reporting to the payroll manager here. Yes.
Okay, thank
And
you.
they will be working to address issues at the enterprise level.
Mr. Trainee?
Which unions, ma'am, are affected?
Which unions?
Which unions are affected?
Police, fire, AMEA.
And no, it's just, it's AMEA, police and fire, and IBEW does have a payroll person at MLMP, but this project doesn't include them in the scope. So I did include them in our meeting to brief them what was going on, but it doesn't have any immediate impact on
What
them.
was the feedback from the unions? You said you had a meeting with them, I just want to.
I think they want an opportunity to think about it, and I'm sure that they're gonna weigh in on it. I think it's twofold with them, to be honest with you. I sort of got less of a concern over the idea of making them exempt than it is the layoffs. And I mean, clearly that's their primary concern, to Ms. Gray Jackson's point.
Economy.
And, anytime you downsize the workforce, it of course is a big concern for the union. So, but I think they wouldn't have time to assimilate it. I told them that we would be having this on the agenda on Tuesday, but it's for hearing, of course. So they have 2 weeks. I'm sure they'll weigh in on the 30th or whenever you schedule it for a public hearing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ms. Bridges?
I'll pass. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Armendariz?
No.
Mr. Holman? Well, it appears we have no other questions.